This afternoon, we have some ridiculous breaking news as reports have now just come in. We have reached an agreement to sign Pedro Neto of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Today, my friends, so many big things to discuss over the past 24 hours. So hope you guys are excited about this news. Hit that like button if you guys love the announcement of Pedro Neto. Share your thoughts and opinions. And let's get straight into things. So for the first story, let's get out the recent signing news out the way, because yesterday, my friends, we announced the signing of two players, one being 19-year-old Argentinian centre-back in Aaron Anselmino. He is set to remain with Boca Juniors until the end of the 24-25 season. Makes a lot of sense. He has sustained some injuries recently, hasn't played as much, and as he's only just recently broken into the Boca team, stay there for another season, build your rep up, and then let's see what happens once he returns back to Europe. So that was the long-term move we've been waiting to get some closure on. It's finally out the way, and Anselmino now is a player that we can just cast our eyes on over the next year to see how he develops, what he does, because he is like one of these modern-day centre-backs. Super press-resistant, can literally play in midfield, can step out, very strong ball carrying, which can play you out of danger. This is like the new meta that teams want to have in their team, right? So let's see what happens, my friends. But for the other new signing, we've announced the signing of Belgian wonder kid Mike Penders from Genk. We've signed him for 20 million euros, but there is a sell-on clause attached for an undisclosed amount of money. He is set to sign a contract until 2032, but similar to Anselmino, he will remain at Genk for another season because he's only played like 1 or 2 professional games right now. So there's no way in hell there's even any pathway for him in our team right now. Now, there's not much for me to report on him, but coaching circles suggest that this guy is an absolute wonder kid. I mean, he's a man mountain of a human being at 6'7" already at 18. I mean, what was this guy being fed when he was young? That secret has to be revealed. But at the same time, I can see why over the past 24 hours there has been discussions about people's concerns with the strategy, because as I keep saying, this Hunger Games Battle Royale type of development we're hoping to create with this club, time will tell whether it pays off in the end, whether it works out. I remember back in the days, maybe I'm too old school, we used to have Petr Cech, our number 2. We signed Courtois, we loaned him out to Atleti for 2 years straight to develop, and once he completed that loan spell, he was ready to take the spot left by Petr Cech, and then we had one of the best goalkeepers in the world until he decided to leave us for Real Madrid in very understandable reasons, right? We're now signing Penders, Slonina, we've got Jorgensen alongside Sanchez, Petrovic. We don't know what's in store for Petrovic's future. Right now, we're learning that Fiorentina's showing interest. Strasbourg are hoping to sign him on loan, but Petrovic doesn't want to take a step down in his career or go to a club where he acts as a backup goalkeeper after playing over 30 games last season and asserting himself as a number 1. It's understandable that he's a bit confused by what's happening with his future right now, because it's kind of come out from the blue, kind of come from nowhere, and now himself, his family, and everyone now have to reconfigure this plan about what the next step is for him, because I think we're making it quite clear that we're looking to remove him already just like that. And he's not the first victim of this development strategy. It's not like we're necessarily even flipping these guys we're buying for double the amount of money. That would make a lot of sense to everyone, and I think that would kind of ease maybe this whole strategy to begin with, but we're not doing that. So let's see what happens, my friends. Time will tell whether this whole strategy pays off in the end. Signing your Kellymans and all these guys, we'll see. But anyway, we welcome Anselmino and Mike Penders to Chelsea Football Club. So share your thoughts and opinions. How do you guys feel about things? Right, bloody now, mate. We discuss the breaking story that came from absolutely nowhere, as we are now set to sign Pedro Neto from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, the story was first broken by Fabrice Hawkins. He revealed that we were at the final stages between us and Wolves to reach an agreement to sign the player. There was an agreement already in principle, and in my opinion, it seems like with our season opener against City around the corner, we want to kind of quicken up the pace now in terms of getting the right profiles for Maresca, right? Since then, we are learning even more things. Romano came out later on to reconfirm this news as well, revealing that Wolves were holding out for a club record £60 million sale. However, even more updates have developed as the Ornstein bomb has dropped. We have now reached an agreement to sign Pedro Neto for 60 million euros plus 3 million in additional bonuses. That's around 51 million, which could rise to 54 million pounds. It seems like since we're about to cash in on this pure profit that will be generated from Gallagher's sale, we're wasting no time now in spending that money before the end of this window. Still more big moves to come through, my friends. And in the meantime, Wolves now are targeting replacements for Neto, and they hope to sign the former Man City PL2 winger who's currently at Ajax in Carlos Borges. So I want to remind you guys that last month, a report came out suggesting that we had made inquiries to Pedro Neto's agent. And his agent is Jorge Mendes, someone who has very close ties to this new ownership, right? And at the time, we asked Mendes to be kept in the loop and informed on any business and dealings involving Neto, because clubs like Spurs, Newcastle, and a host of others were casting their eyes on the winger. I said at the time, and when you see stories like this with particular context and information, don't just ignore it. Don't think this is nonsense. There is something happening behind the scenes, and it's quite clear that he is the winger we've now targeted, and we're prepared to pay big money to bring him here. The question now is, are we doing what we always do by just hoarding on talent, or are we making an astute signing that is essential to the system? And I have to say, in my opinion, I think based on the context of this team, and that context being, do we have the wingers that are strong enough in 1v1 situations outside of Maresca? I'm sorry, Raheem Sterling's still bouncing into man. Mudryk just is the most inconsistent player. I had so much patience for him. You guys know this for the first year, but I'm not one of those fools that will just forever just like, you know, pull the wool over my eyes and believe in a future and reality that just will never happen and isn't there. It's very understandable, in my opinion, that we go for a strong, aggressive, confident ball carrier that also happens to be, in my opinion, one of the best crossers in the Premier League. And he had an outstanding season last season, and I was happy for him because after suffering injury after injury, I think it was out for like nearly 15 months at one point, right, to come back big and to have the season he had last season where he was at the forepoint of everything good Wolves did. I think in like 18 games and 2 sub appearances, it was like 3 goals and 9 assists. We all remember that assist against Man City as well too. He demonstrated that this is what he can bring. And imagine if he did not have the injuries over the years. Back when Neto first broke through, we remember those games against us, the amount of danger and panic he would cause us. His dribbling threat, two-footedness, directness, the fearlessness. That's what I like the most. I like fearless wingers. If there's one thing about Mudryk I've kind of realized after watching him, and you might think I'm being a bully with the comparisons, but it's just to paint the picture, right? Once he gets tackled once or twice, 3 times max, I think mentally, he doesn't go back in again to take on his man. He kind of just like fades away in the game. He's not an outlet for his teammates anymore. And it is important for wingers to have that fearless nature when it comes to taking their men on. Yes, you're going to suffer a lot of rough treatment from defenders and teams in this league. Remember Eden Hazard, it was disgusting treatment. The best player in the world, Lionel Messi. God knows how he didn't get crazy injuries in his career because some of the tackles he had on his ankles, for God's sake. Teams purposely targeting him in these areas. It goes to show that you need to win that mental battle to be that dominant, aggressive winger for your team. And I think Neto is definitely in that caliber of player. 2-footed, he can play on either flank. Right flank, he has more goal threat. On the left flank, he showed his creativeness. He played a lot of games down that side, and I just love his ball carrying. I love how he drives the ball into the opponent's box. He's not one of those guys that just receives the ball and he just runs wide because he doesn't have a picture in his head. He knows exactly what he wants to do, where he wants to be, and exactly what type of cutback cross or pass he's set to find. And if you're a striker, this is the service you want from your wingers. Now, going back to Maresca, he had Mavididi, he had Fatawu, who were both the ball-dominant wingers in the Championship last season. We even saw these men did against us in the FA Cup last season. And this system can't really work unless the wingers can dominate their sides, right? Because if they don't, it means that the players who are in the half spaces, which is the offensive eights, they can't make those runs in the box from the half space. The play will break down, and then we get susceptible to these counter-attacks in behind. And with our defensive line not being part of it yet, still a lot of work is needed to fine-tune when to push up, when to pull back, we can at least minimize those mistakes a little bit more by having a bit more efficiency down our flank right. And I think that left sides, it does need an upgrade. I'm sorry, it needs someone. I can't go into this season confidently relying on Mudryk or Sterling, because I would have seen something from these guys in pre-season, and I've not seen that. And I think the club have realized, you know what, we've clearly made a mistake. We've invested a stupid amount of money on the left flank that is not delivering right now. But I do think Pedro Neto could be an astute signing. Fingers crossed the injuries are out the way, but with the amount of games we have and players we have, I don't think he'll be playing week in, week out. He will be rotated at times, and he'll be a very strong member of our squad, right? But fingers crossed, no more breakdowns. But I think after what he showed last season and how he came back and the consistency in his fitness, I'm going to give this guy some grace and have some belief behind what he's set to do. But is he someone that's going to win me a game with his long shots? Probably not. But is he someone that can play that game-winning assist? I think so. And if you're going to have more of your goal threat coming from the offensive 8 in your team, it makes sense to have that player on the left side that can be that more assist-like supportive figure for the team to create that bigger balance all around, right? So my friends, that is the Pedro Neto news out the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. How are you feeling about things? Is this a mad move, or is there something smart here that's going to take everyone by surprise? Let us know what you think. And to end things very, very quickly, but as reported by The Independent, Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid are showing a lot of interest in our young centre-back in Josh Acheampong. Now, at 17 years old and able to play down either flank, in defense, push up. He is like another modern day meta defender in the making. He's like 17, I think just turned 18, 6'3". Big talent around this kid, very good player. And I guess it's no surprise that Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain would try to take advantage and try to exploit our bloated squad at the moment. Maybe try and find a cut price deal for Josh Acheampong. Now, I see it like this. The fact that this news is public, I don't normally think stories like this deserve that merit to be so public unless either club is trying to put a little bit of pressure on Acheampong or the club. Now that you know that clubs of this size are looking at you, what's your next move right now? Now, the club have come out since, reports have confirmed since, that the club believe in Acheampong. They don't want to sell him. Maresca is a big fan, but these are the type of hollow words I've been hearing over 2 years for many players, right? And the reality simply is, when you have Gusto, James, and then you've got Cuckoo, Ben, Vega, plus like 5-6 defenders we already have currently, I mean, what game time are you really expecting from Acheampong to get? He hasn't got any more minutes in pre-season after playing, I think, against Wrexham, which kind of tells you everything that you need to know. And with Maresca's focus now on the system, that means the first team players will get the priority, because how are you going to use the kids when you haven't even patterned the tactics in the system right now? So let's see what comes from this story. But again, I'm saying hollow words because we've literally just signed another teenager that we probably have more of a long-term feel for than our own guy right now. And I don't know, I think this is more of like a media PR thing to like not make the fans get a bit too angry or annoyed by what's going on. But what does it say? That top clubs yet again are looking at our players. It's not the first time it's happening. And you think to yourself, why does this club maybe find it hard to just maybe trust this academy that they're very happy to ask big money for when it comes to sales? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you could argue to yourself, if you really feel like Acheampong's one, would you maybe target another defender than Entosen? You know what I mean? Would you maybe target some of the guys that we have targeted, like a Vega as well? When you think to yourself, well, Acheampong is good enough to command that minutes that maybe the 5th or 6th choice player may get. But they're not accessible. What do you really expect? So let's see if anything happens before this window ends, because these are some big clubs. In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if you try to find like a loan move for him and a career path. But when clubs like this are coming after you and they want you to be their backup in their team for their big players, not only are you learning from some absolute superstars in the game, but there's a lot more of a focused path for you to potentially get in that first team if you work hard, right? That's how I see things. So my friends, that's all the stories at the moment that's dropped. Share your thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. See you all soon. Cool.